Hi there, welcome to another driving debrief video. Today, it's not important the geography of where we went, it's only important what we did. We went to the Hellmouth town again, and the new thing for the day was parallel parking. But I will just say that everything leading up to the parallel parking went wrong. It seems again that I was stressed today, and all the lessons and things that I'd learnt before seemed to go out of my head and I was struggling. I wanted to go lower gears, Tony was putting me in higher gears when I wanted to slow down because I thought I was going too fast. There was like a swerving motorcyclist who I wasn't sure was going to wait for us going down a tunnel next to a parked car. There was approach to roundabouts where he employed hesitation on me, as in apparently I could go because there were shields moving to the right of me, but I didn't know there were cars acting as shields. In fact, to me it looked like the cars were orbiting the centre island. They were going to come around in front of us. Apparently the cars were not coming in front, they were going off orbiting the edge to come past us, and they could have served as shields. So this is the Drake statue roundabout, I only waited until a bus came, which was a pretty big shield, and then I went there. There was another incident somewhere where just too many things were happening at once, and it's annoying sometimes. I know he's doing it to help, but when I'm trying to focus on doing a task and then suddenly Tony takes control away from me to do something else. At one point it was just parking up by the side of the road that I didn't know he was going to do, so I thought he was telling me I'd done something wrong, but he wanted to do it basically. Anyway, all that was a mess. We did the roundabouts like more than once in a loop, kept getting things wrong. So instead we drove off to one of the estates, I think it's up near Treetops Estate, and we tried to do the parallel parking, which I've been watching all the videos in preparation and research to be able to do the parallel parking before I came out today, but doing it in real life for yourself, from your perspective as a driver, is a lot different to when you see it done on a video with driving instructors like Richard Fanders. Also, your driving instructor will have a completely different method to the driving instructors on the videos you watch. Apparently there's lots of different methods to achieve the same thing, like convergent learning kind of thing. You can do things in a different way and they'll all result in the same outcome or goal. Tony doesn't like dry steering, for instance, so I couldn't do it the way that Richard Fanders does it, because he's absolutely fine with dry steering and he's demonstrated how you can do anything with dry steering and it will not harm your car or affect the tyres badly. He's got videos on that, so go check out his channel. It's Conquer Driving on YouTube. So we went to an estate. I wasn't aware of the hill. There was an upward hill. So when you're doing this parallel parking manoeuvre, first, before you even do it, when you pull alongside the car that is your target car that you're doing the manoeuvre around on the right to be parallel with them, you've got to figure out whether you're on a hill, a really tiny hill. It might be a slight incline, just or are you on a hill facing upward before you start reversing, or are you on a hill facing downward before you start reversing? This appears to be really important, and no one told me about this in any of the videos. So if you pull alongside your target car that you're doing the manoeuvre around, you're to the right of it, you're not like dead parallel to them, like your bonnets aren't perfectly in line or your boots aren't perfectly in line. The way Tony taught it, which is not the way other people taught it, is that you've got to be more forward than the car you're going around. Whereas Richard Fanders teaches it that you've got to be basically lined up with the car you're going around, because then you're not likely to hit them basically. And he teaches things like less than 45 degrees before you come in and stuff. The way Tony was teaching it was you're more positioned, say this is the car you're going around, you start more positioned in front of it. So basically you can see their bonnet out of your left window, the passenger window. So that's where you stop. You've got to figure out then, am I on a hill? So we started with a hill that was upward facing, and I didn't know, it just looked flat. If you're on an upward facing hill, the rule is that you're not using any gas, no accelerator. You're going to do a foot brake roll backwards. No clutch, no accelerator, foot brake roll, using the brake to stop you and start you as you do the manoeuvre. Later on we did the same manoeuvre where I was getting it right, which was on a downward hill, so that both cars are facing downward. At that point, you do use the gas and the biting point. Use reverse like you use first gear on the biting point, because you're fighting gravity as you push backwards. So you have to decide what kind of hill you're on before you start. Okay, there's something definitely you got to think about. So first you pull up alongside your car, you have to make sure you're straight. Often if you're pulling up behind them, so sometimes you start behind the car, to do the manoeuvre you got to pull up around them so you're parallel to them. To do that you kind of have to pull quite a ways out around them to make sure you don't clip them. So you're kind of pulling out almost onto the other side of the road at that point, where oncoming traffic would come. So yeah, he apparently hasn't taught me when to do all the mirror checks, so he was doing most. I was just doing mirror checks when I could, and he was doing most of the mirror checks. He hadn't told me when to input those. So you're alongside the car, you look out to the left, the target car's bonnet is outside your window. You stop, and at that point, I think you indicate left briefly. Actually, you indicate left briefly before you do that, and then you stop with the bonnet outside your window. Yeah, so it's a very brief indicator left. Then you handbrake on, you go into reverse gear, which means you have to pull up the gear stick and then shove it past first gear. In that direction, top left, I think. Although it's different on other cars, I've noticed. And then you have to manually unapply. No, you have to put your foot on the foot brake at that point. Yeah. Then you have to manually unapply the handbrake, which in my case is the P brake. So you press down the P brake as if it's a handbrake, so they're the same in that instance. And then if your back is facing downhill, then you're just lifting up the foot brake to roll back, and then if your back is facing uphill, then you're adding some gas by that point and you're bringing the clutch to the biting point to move you. So you're either moving yourself on the brake or you're moving yourself on the biting point, and it depends. So that's an annoying thing to have to remember, but yeah, apparently that's a thing, which makes the parallel parking manoeuvre exceedingly difficult for me compared to the other manoeuvres I've done so far. Then you are reversing back straight. You keep the steering wheel straight, you check all around, but pretty quick the important window to check is your left hand rear window, behind the passenger. That's where you're going to see the boot of the other car. When the boot of the other car starts to enter that window, you stop doing what you're doing. You can't actually stop with Tony because he doesn't like dry steering, whereas if you did it with Richard you'd stop. So you'd go really slow at this point, but you would suddenly do steering, I think. You'd go very slow, like a pause, like a very slow roll on the clutch or the brake, and you have to do something on the steering that I've never noticed before, which is you're turning the steering wheel left by one complete turn, which isn't the same as full left-hand lock. When he first told it to me, I thought, okay, full left-hand lock, and then he went, no. I was like, what? You just said I've got to turn the steering wheel an entire revolution, right? And then he reminded me, yeah, but an entire revolution isn't a full left-hand lock. It goes even further than one turn. I think it goes like 2.5 turns as a full left-hand lock, something like. Or maybe it's 1 3/4 turn, something like. I can't actually remember how far it goes, but this thing he was describing to me, which is the first steering wheel turn you do to the left, is just one turn. So the top of your wheel faces up, you do a turn 360 degrees, the top of your wheel is still facing up, as if it looks like you're going in a straight line, but you're not. You're now facing with your wheels to the left, and seeing the boot out of that window is when you decide to do that. Your reference point. Yeah, see, I have notes. I have notes with little diagrams. Look, I have little kind of notes here. Maybe I should show you some of my diagrams. Check that shit out. That's when you that's when you do the turn. One complete revolution, which is like that. Now it's important to note that now you've done that turn, that one turn, that you're in a state where you could fuck up really easily, because your car is now in a state of turning in a circle to the left and reverse. Just like that. You see the curve? See the curve, fellow newbies? Obviously, you professional car drivers are just laughing at this. Great, you know, great entertainment. Watch the noob try to figure out what you know anyway. And you move back slowly at this point. If you leave the steering wheel like this and keep going back without stopping, you will fuck up with your car boot facing the pavement at 90 degrees-ish. You keep rotating. I'm reading that note verbatim. So you have to stop rotating at a certain point, and you have to straighten up the wheel, which is exactly one complete turn, so the top of your wheel at the top, spin it to the right. Obviously the reverse of what you've done, so the top of your wheel is at the top again. So one complete turn, 360 degrees, right back to the starting position. And the certain moment that you choose to do that and straighten up is when your left wing mirror is about to be, I have to say about to be because it used to be that Tony said, when your left wing mirror is in line with their car boot, that's when you straighten up. But actually it turns out that it's before you see that. Because we worked it out, it's not actually then, it's before then. So it looks kind of like this. There's my drawing. When you see that, you're gonna straighten up and undo that single turn. And now you're more like this. The arrow is the thing that's changed. It's not a curvy arrow, it's a straight arrow. So now you're facing straight to the pavement. You're no longer in a rotating circle. So a bit of relief there. Not so much relief to me because I can't actually stop the car at any point while doing this, because he hates dry steering, which is really annoying. So now you hold the wheel straight and you keep going backwards. You're moving backwards, you've got new reference points for when to pause before the curb. The first reference point is really annoying and I don't want to rely on it, which is the reversing camera, because I don't know if the car that I'll end up getting will have a reversing camera. And I can't even remember. He told me to do something with a magic white line that is on your reversing camera, and when it comes near to the pavement, you stop. I have no recollection in my memory of what the angles were on that magic white line on the reversing camera. I just drew this thing. See this thing with the 3 chips and the pavement is the line at the top? I have no idea what angles to draw, because it's not memorable, it doesn't sink into memory. Like, was the diagonal like that and that, or was the diagonal like that? Which bit was diagonal compared to which other bit? You can't memorize it and draw it when you get home, so you can't remember it. So that's a terrible thing. So the other reference, which is better for me, although it's a little more difficult, is the blind spot mirror. You know, the little discs, the inset you stick onto the left hand wing mirror. There's a sickle shaped, it's meant to be a triangle, which it would be if it appeared in the wing mirror, but the wing mirror is too high, so you can't see the pavement in the wing mirror. So you have to look in the blind spot mirror to see the pavement, and the blind spot mirror is convex, so it curves everything. So you're looking for a triangle, instead you see a sickle, which is, I don't know if you can see that. See the little sickle there? There's a larger one on the other page here. So when the sickle happens in the blind spot mirror, there's another one of the sickle. Then you do a full right hand lock, so you're not doing now you're doing the actual full right hand lock of the steering wheel. You're not doing the turning to straighten up, which is 360 degrees. You're doing however many degrees it is to spin the wheel all the way up there. Then you start with the sickle and you do the right hand lock, and then you end up not with a straight line parallel with a straight car edge, because everything's curved in that damn blind spot there. So you're looking at for a tapering snake of pavement. So when the sickle happens in your blind spot mirror, full right hand lock on steering wheel please. Watch your blind spot mirror as you move. This is straining up to the pavement now. You want to become parallel with the curb and pavement. The sickle slowly turns into a curved line, which is not ideal. But one reference you have is that your second car door, your back seat car door, in that left passenger blind spot mirror, no longer appears to be occluding the pavement. It's not in the way of the pavement. There's the back door seat second from you. There's a strip of dark pavement, and then there's a tiny strip of white curb edge, and all of them are curved, so nothing looks straight, but that's how you see it. So when the back second car door, back seats car door I've called it, is away from the pavement, that's one clue where you have to straighten up again, which is a left hand. I don't know how much you left hand steer, but you left hand steer to straighten up at that point. And I haven't written down how much steering that is. I assume because you did a full right hand look before that it's like halfway the other way. Another clue for when to straighten up is you see the car in front, your target car, and you're slightly at an angle to it, and that's when to straighten up, just before you finally get completely straight with it. So you're moving while you do it, of course. And then you stop as soon as possible. Clutch in, foot brake, parking brake, handbrake on, neutral. Now you can check where you are at that point, but you can't correct it. Tony says the only time you can correct that whole process, which I don't know how I would do it, is during the maneuver, like when you're doing all the wild steering and stuff. So you can't like end that maneuver, go, I'm too far away from the car in front, I'm going to drive forward a bit. The driving examiner on the test won't allow that. So you have to be kind of close to the car in front. I didn't realise when I've been watching all these driving instructor videos, they also like aim to finish within they all say widths, which doesn't make sense. 2 car widths of the car in front. They mean lengths of the car in front. They don't mean widths, because the width is between the 2 headlights and the length is, between the bonnet and the boot. So that was bizarre. But when they say you must finish within 2 car lengths of the car in front, I always thought it meant that the car in front is there, then there's a gap of 1 car, then there's a gap of another car, then there's you. But no, you're within the 2 car lengths, so that was a bit of a mindfuck to me. It's the car in front of you is a target car, then there's a gap of 1 car, and then there's you. And you can't go further back than that. So you do have to be close. And I didn't realise that. That was the interesting part today. The first one on the hill facing up, he demonstrated it to me, he took control of the car, and I did a tiny bit of steering. That wasn't any good to me because I didn't get any experience doing anything. The second one, he let me do it, but we were still facing uphill. I did it completely wrong, I think, because I didn't, as I said before, I didn't swing out enough around the car to get parallel to it initially, and I stopped too far ahead of it because of that earlier mistake. And I think he kind of added steering while I was going back that time. Then we went around the estate, because apparently if you keep doing that maneuver around someone's car, you're annoying them. So you go around. We went around to the estate to another car, which is like a short little Renault that he said was ugly. It's one of these smart cars that's way too short. So I had to be careful watching where the boot was before I did the turn. That one was facing downhill, so I had to use the biting point and gas. And I did that twice, and I did that a lot better. I wish I had more tries to do it, but that was all the tries that Tony was going to give me that day, so I got that one okay. But the fourth one, I completely forgot what steering I'm doing. Like, you have to steer right to get around the car, you have to steer left to get parallel to the car, you have to indicate left and turn it off, you then have to stop, reverse gear, go backwards, then you have to steer left, then you have to steer right, then you have to go back, then you have to steer right, then you have to go back, then you have to steer left. I think it's something like that. It's like there's so many points at which you have to steer, and it's trying to memorize it all and then remember which way when I steer is going to take me which way when I'm going back. Confuses me. Anyway, we've got another lesson on Thursday. I hope I'll be less stressed. I think in that one we'll be doing the other manoeuvres, which is the weird one where you pull on the opposite side of the road, like facing incoming traffic, and just reverse there for some reason. And maybe we're doing reverse around the corner, I'm not sure, which isn't in the test, and maybe we're doing turn in the road, which used to be 3-point turn, but is now like 5-point turn, so they just call it turn the road. That has also, I think, been taken off the driving test. I don't know why. They've kept the weird reverse on the other side of the road one on. I don't know when you would use that. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.
Don't you talk to me about murder. All it ever took was a down payment on a Lincoln Town car. That girl, you can't even call that girl. What the fuck are you still doing driving a cab?
Because I never straightened up and looked at it, you know, myself. I should have. I tried to gamble my way out from under, but that was just a one to lose deal.
Slow down.
It's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect to go. Risk all torque down. I could have done anything I wanted to.
Red light.
But you know what? New news. It doesn't matter anyway. What does it matter anyway? We're all insignificant out here in this big-ass nowhere. Twilight Zone shit. Says the badass sociopath in my backseat. But you know what? It's the one thing I gotta thank you for, bro, because until now, I never looked at it that way. What does it matter? It don't just fucking fix it. What do we got to lose anyway, right?
Slow down.
What? Shoot. You gonna pull the trigger and kill us? Go ahead and shoot my ass.
Slow the hell down.
What you gonna shoot me? You gonna shoot me now? You gonna kill us? Huh? Well, shoot my ass in. Huh? Shoot me.
Slow down.
Right. You know what, Vincent? Go fuck yourself.
Well, that was brilliant.
Didn't have your seatbelt on?